the myth is that every business owner is an entrepreneur. That's generally not true. Generally what happens is you become a really good physio or podiatrist, and then you think, right, I can set up my business. It doesn't mean that you've suddenly become a business owner overnight. So that's where we were talking about earlier, masterminds and success clubs and courses, and, immerse yourself in the non-clinical side so that you can develop that. But it is important to understand what role do you want in your practice. So if you want to be just physio, then you need to have someone to manage the business and someone to really look at the direction of the business. But sometimes you might want to be actually being the entrepreneur as well. But then you've got to be able to let go some of the technical. You cannot be a full-time physio. Well, you can, but you'll burn out. A full-time physio, full-time podiatrist, and, if you're seeing a full list and then still trying to run the business, the wheels will come off at some point down the road. So, it's really important to give time to run the business and work on the business. So it's, just kind of sitting back and thinking, what do I want my balance to be? And in order for that balance to happen, and in order for me to earn the income that I want to earn, and for me to have the time off that I want to have, what team do I need around me to achieve the vision?
This is the Justin Blake podcast experience for health professionals that mean business. So wherever you are in the world, listen as we discuss everything you need for you and your health business to survive and thrive. Thanks for listening.
And we are now live. Good morning, everybody from, where am I? I'm in Ireland. Dave's in the country somewhere. Where are you, Dave?
Herefordshire.
It looks absolutely gorgeous. I don't know where the ladies are this morning.
The ladies will be here. The ladies are fashionably late, which is cool.
They'll be here. So you've been on a mastermind, Dave?
Yeah, I've been out with some coaches. So we've been kind of upping our coaching skills, which is good. So we've got a group of people. We've got people who are hypnotherapists. We've got people from mindfulness backgrounds, people from financial services backgrounds, all who kind of coach together. So we sort of come together to share thoughts, really, coach each other. Yeah, it's really cool. Really, really good stuff.
Very good. And this is the last day. Good to get away for a bit of a break.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. When we were away for this at this very event in March. In fact, we got here on the Sunday and they started to announce lockdowns on the Monday. So it was all getting a little bit lively at that point. So this is the first place I've been to away from home in 6 months. So yeah, it's quite a monumental thing, really. But it's good.
And of course, everybody's plans in March that were all carefully crafted went out the window. Well, a lot of them did probably, or maybe not.
Yeah, and we've got that again now. So I don't think people are panicking as much because they've got the resilience from what happened before, and that makes a big, big difference. So,
hi, Celia.
Hello. Sorry, I couldn't get on my laptop for some reason.
Go that way, because Celia will be there. Well, she's not big.
Balance you.
Needs to be around the other way. Dave's in the country. Look, all cows and mist and oak trees.
No.
How are you, Celia, this week? Good?
Yeah, good, thank you. I just don't know why it wasn't going on my laptop. I'm going to try again.
Okay. That's why you look a bit odd on your phone.
Yes.
Okay. Here
we go. I think I'm going again. Right. No, it just says 404. Something's wrong.
Okay. Well, maybe because you're already on. You. Yeah, we're all good.
Okay.
Can you hear us is the question.
I can hear you, yes, loud and clear.
Excellent. What were we saying? Dave's in the country at a mastermind. Yeah, so those are always good to do. Bouncing ideas, especially you always pick up one or two things that you'd never even thought about before on a get together. Focuses the mind a bit.
Yeah, it's condensed. It's like you come up with very different viewpoints, which you wouldn't have considered. And certainly being at home and working from home for the last 18 months, but certainly for the last 6 months intensively during COVID, It's been tough, there's no doubt about it. But all you see is the same kind of four walls, and all you see is your own kind of thoughts reflecting back at you. So it's actually nice to get out and do stuff, which is why Zoom's been really good. Here we go.
Yeah.
Is it a organised event, or is it something that you guys have put together yourself, or?
It's organised, so it's part of a mastermind group from some coaches I have, and
okay,
I think we're on about the fifth. I think they're on about the sixth round. I'm on the fifth round, so I started on the second one. But yeah, very, very, very organised. So we sort of do it in 6 monthly batches, and we have two sets of live days, which we have. We've had them in Brighouse, and we've had it here at this location twice. Had it in Oxford in December. We didn't do June for obvious reasons. So yeah, so it's really cool. It's just not, and they're great. It's like family. That's what I really like about it.
It is about making connections. A lot of people. That's how I know Kate. I was in a mastermind with Kate 4 or 5 years ago. That's where I first met Kate. Apparently her laptop's knackered, she says.
Yeah.
And that's where I met a lot of different people who I still keep in touch with, all of like minds. It's bouncing ideas off each other, seeing what they're doing, helping each other out. It's as you said, Dave, it's like a family. It's sort of like a community. This.
I did that for quite a few years actually. It was great. Then there were people from. It was kind of made up of people from the UK and people from Australia, and then we'd have retreats all over. I mean, I went to a retreat in Malaysia, and it was just 10 days intensive. It was absolutely phenomenal. So I think it is good to kind of engage in that type of thing to support you and your business. And I found that often it was a lot of personal development that was more impactful than the business stuff even sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they it definitely focuses the minds, and especially if you've got in your mind is, you said, if it's every 3 months or so that you've got things to prepare for, or that's when the next, the progression is going to happen. You don't want to be sitting there having not done. Life does get in the way at times, of course. Well, certainly not.
Yeah.
But you don't want to be sitting there having had all these great plans and having not actually started to work through them. It's also a good way to. Well, especially also then, I want to try this thing. And somebody goes, no, I did that before. It was a complete waste of time. Put so much time and effort and money into it. It just didn't work. Try it this way. And just a sounding board. Because again, trying to work in isolation, and I suppose we've been back to that, a lot of practitioners, they are very isolated. They don't, so much going on, that there is so much help out there. It's just a matter of, finding the right people. To do stuff with.
I think it's about creativity. It's about creativity for me as much as anything else. That when I'm I think I'm fairly creative, but when I'm on my own, that creativity is muted, and it doesn't have limits, but I suppose it has self-imposed limits.
Yeah, and
when you start having conversations with other people, that creativity becomes possibility.
Yeah, and also sometimes you just don't know what you don't know, and even on practical levels. So I run success clubs, and our success clubs used to be every quarter for a full day, where we'd kind of have like a group of up to 8 practitioners meeting in each of the groups, and now they are once a month, 2 hours on the phone, And over COVID, there's been these government grants that practices have been eligible for, and some of them had applied and they were just told no, and they kind of just left it at that. Whereas I had, one guy in one of the groups said no, he absolutely just kind of pushed, and he got, and like now most of my clients have got those grants. Now, if they weren't coming together in those success clubs, they would have been 10 or 25 grand less. And, it's really helped support their business through a really tricky time. Mm-hmm. So, I think immersing yourself in with like-minded people.
That one thing, isn't it? That one thing.
Yeah. I mean, it made a massive difference to, one of my clients got 2 practices and she got 25K for each of them. And that's 50K is quite a substantial, difference in your bank balance when you're shut down.
Yeah. You gotta keep, well,
and the thing is as well, if you were to get on these calls and you were to listen to the stuff which we talk about, and I'm sure some weeks it sounds like rambling conversation, but if you were to take one of the things that we suggest, and even just what we're talking about in your book, Celia, if people took one of the things and implemented it, it would have such a massive knock-on effect. Now, sometimes it's, I think people look at it from the perspective of, I've got so much stuff I need to do. It's so overwhelming. I need to do all of this stuff. And actually, it's not. Pick one thing. Pick one thing which you know is going to make a difference now and do it. And then when that's done, pick one other thing and do that and do it. And it is. It's one step at a time. And I say that as somebody who, of course, does it all the time myself. But we all get caught up in our own BS. So it is about picking one thing and doing it.
Yeah,
I think it's
and actually today's chapter, people, is really key to this, because if you look after your people, they'll look after your business. And I think that.
But that's it.
We can
confidence. It's the confidence to just to implement things. Just do one thing today, or this week by Friday. Just one.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Choose one. Write a newsletter, write a thing, do something. Contact a couple of patients you haven't seen for a while. Here we go. Here comes Kate. She's on her phone. Excuse me. There we go. Hi, Kate. And just do one thing. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing with the biomechanics that I'm running, or the biomechanics sort of evenings. It's people have the knowledge. It's just the implementation and the confidence to carry out the treatment plan and to go through that with the patient. That's where people would like some help and mentoring. Just they've got the knowledge and have done the courses. It's just taking that and having the confidence to run with that patient, and through the ups and downs of not getting improvements and better improvements, and how to stage that. And it's the same thing with the business. Just taking that idea and then knowing how to implement it, and if it doesn't work, just tweaking it a little bit.
Justin, what has happened to you this week?
I don't know. Justin, I've got an idea.
You're on your laptop every week. It's a completely different feed when you're on your phone.
I don't know what's happened to you. You're talking
Justin,
you might actually like people, and that.
No, we haven't talked about people yet. We haven't got the people yet. We're talking about the implementation of things.
I have a really good idea. I think what we need to do is we need to let Celia loose and tell us all about this week's subject in detail.
Where are you, Dave? You've already had all this, because I know I'm late. Where are you? You look like you're
in the country with oak trees and cows and mist.
You might just be able to see the sun coming through on the other side of the building.
Oh wow, that's nice.
You're in Hereford.
I did have a pink sky earlier, but it's gone.
Really nice. You've been out for a walk?
No. I've been doing some work.
Oh, lovely.
I'll go back later. I'll go back later and get on the bike or hit the gym. So.
Oh, nice. You're having a nice time.
I love to hit the bike or the gym, but I'm knackered. I ate too much.
You see, Justin, we better let Celia go. But before we do, I'm going to say one thing. You do realise that you have quite a lot of body above the injury which you could exercise.
Oh, we're still on that. Justin's calf.
Kettlebells.
My laptop didn't work.
TRX kettlebells are on their way, and I've never been able to do many chin-ups, so that's the plan. Yep.
Right, well, you have to demonstrate next week then.
How are you expecting?
Celia, come on, unleash it. Let's go.
Right. Okay. So, as I said, if you look after your people, they'll look after your business. I'm a firm believer in, Richard Branson had this saying that train your people up so well that they can leave at any time, but treat them so well that they don't want to. So I think sometimes there is a resistance of sharing too much with your team and, developing them too much because you're worried that you're kind of building up their list for them to leave and set up on their own down the road. So I think one's got to kind of put systems in place so that doesn't happen, and that everybody really loves working with your clinics. I think that's a very key thing. In today's day and age, it is difficult to get good staff. So when you find them, look after them. Another big part of the book of the people pillar is understanding what role you want what you want your role to be in your practice. So we reference a book called The EMIS Revisited, which is Michael E. Gerber, and he talks about how there's 3 different roles in your business. So you have the technician, the manager, and the entrepreneur. And the myth is that every business owner is an entrepreneur. That's generally not true. Generally what happens is you become a really good physio or podiatrist, and then you think, right, I can set up my business. It doesn't mean that you've suddenly become a business owner overnight. So that's where we were talking about earlier, masterminds and success clubs and courses, and, immerse yourself in the non-clinical side so that you can develop that. But it is important to understand what role do you want in your practice. So if you want to be just physio, then you need to have someone to manage the business and someone to really look at the direction of the business. But sometimes you might want to be actually being the entrepreneur as well. But then you've got to be able to let go some of the technical. You cannot be a full-time physio. Well, you can, but you'll burn out. A full-time physio, full-time podiatrist, and, if you're seeing a full list and then still trying to run the business, the wheels will come off at some point down the road. So, it's really important to give time to run the business and work on the business. So it's, just kind of sitting back and thinking, what do I want my balance to be? And in order for that balance to happen, and in order for me to earn the income that I want to earn, and for me to have the time off that I want to have, what team do I need around me to achieve the vision? And that's essentially, in a nutshell, is working out who you need. And then another big mantra of ours is hire for attitude and train for skill. So, you might be very tempted by an amazing looking CV. They tick all the technical boxes, and you bring them on board and they just do not fit into your practice. They're an absolute nightmare with everybody else. They drain all the energy out of the clinic, and honestly, it is not worth it. So, rather have someone that maybe is, obviously you've got to have essential technical skills, but you might actually choose someone that's got the absolute perfect attitude for your business and work out a plan to train them up. So I've got some clients that do graduate schemes now. So they're taking physios out of college as soon as they graduate, and then they're putting them into a graduate stream so that they are developing them as they want them to be developed, rather than trying to find an experienced physio that doesn't quite fit the mold of their business. So I think that's kind of in a nutshell what we talk about. And then in our second book, in the Painless Business book, this blue one, we go into kind of dealing with different personalities and things like that as well. So, but it's one of my as you can hear, it's probably one of my favorite topics. I absolutely love helping clinicians be better leaders.
Well, the important part really, as you said, is you can't wear all the hats. And I mean, you've got listed out here what you need to be: associate, receptionist, relief, web designer, solicitor, printer, bank manager, your business coach, your IT support, your accountant, all these things you've got to interact with on a daily basis and have involved in your business to run a business. If you try to do it yourself, and I say again, back to the best 50 euros I ever spent was Pamela, the bookkeeper. Met her every 2 weeks for 15 minutes, signed some checks, and she told me what was going on, and that was it. Got rid of all hours and hours and hours of stuff. She just came into the practice and sorted it all out. People spend money, to save time. That's what you need to do.
And I also think you don't have to think that you have to suddenly employ a financial director and you have to employ a web designer, and you don't have to employ all these people, because there's so many services out there that you can outsource.
Upwork. I'm just on with a guy in Upwork who does my podcast. He's in just outside us, somewhere in Austin, in Texas, and he's 30. He costs $30 a podcast. I don't know. I mean, it's just simple, and you can employ him once. You can employ somebody once. You can employ them on an ongoing basis. You can employ them yearly. I mean, it's very simple. It's all out there. Upwork, a Fiverr. All those sort of places, just to find somebody, really easy to use. Just outsource it. That's what I do.
Being injured suits you so well, Justin.
I'm eating too much cake. I'm not kidding. I ate a lot yesterday.
You could employ someone to feed you cake, couldn't you?
The ultrasound scanner's coming. How good's that? What's that about? From Steve from Celia.
He's a good man.
Steve, the courier's on its way, apparently. We're going to be live streaming on Instagram every day, 1:15 New York lunchtime. Good time here. There's certain parties in the States are quite interested in what's going on. So, and I want to go to New York and Austin. And so that would be great. And I mean, and of course, that applies to the reception staff as well, Celia. That's the main sort of thing as well. I mean, in terms of employing somebody and a superstar and having that in your people that add to your practice rather than take away from it.
Yeah. And then the other topic that we don't necessarily cover in the book, but we cover in courses and coaching and stuff, is the contract that you have with your people. Are they self-employed? Are they, do they just rent rooms? Are they associates? And currently, everybody's got to kind of consider what the HMRC take on your staff is as well, because they are cracking down on self-employed, as we've heard in the press. And so I think if you are a clinic and you have lots of self-employed, make sure that they are genuinely, truly self-employed, because there is a risk that, you'd end up having to pay back NI and get a penalty and stuff. So you can go onto the HMRC website and just test to see, you put in all the criteria of how you handle and what your relationship is like with your associate, and just make sure that it is truly self-employed. And if it's not, then I'd really recommend looking at the employed route. If
it's not, you end up like with a nearly 40,000 euro tax bill that a colleague near Dublin got 6 years after a couple of Australian locums had been in and a couple of people. Yeah, that wasn't a good check to write. 3 years later, I think they had to pay. We all went on to, after that, and there was different people doing different things. You would rent the room, but then pay for the equipment or something that you weren't if you're there 3 days a week on a regular basis and you're doing X, Y, and Z, your employee says tax man. So we had everybody on contracts.
Yeah. One of my clients was self-employed, their receptionist, and she was kind of not doing that greatly, and they dismissed her, and she went after them and claimed that she should have been paid annual leave and she should have been an employee, and she won. So
yep, the contracts aren't worth the paper they're written on. Even though my sister, who's a lawyer and a HR specialist, always shouts at me because I haven't updated them or don't know where they are, or they haven't ended up in a tribunal just yet so far. But they're rubbish. I mean, you have to have them, especially for tax purposes. And
I think there's another element as well. I mean, I spoke to there was an osteopath that attended our creating videos course back when we could do them live, and she used to work as an associate. And she was just like, she really struggled with it because, she kind of got 50%, but if she was quiet, she didn't get any money, and she wanted to buy a house, and the whole environment just wasn't right for her anyway. Anyway, she kind of looked around, and there was a job being advertised as an employed job, and she gets paid a set salary. She pitches up to work. If she doesn't have patients, she makes videos, she does social media for them. She's completely engaged, and she's now been able to buy a house. So I think there is also looking after your team and giving them that security. I think the employed model is very attractive, and I don't, I'm presuming in podiatry it's very much the same in private practice, that the main model over the years has been associate based.
50-50 split. 50
yeah,
split.
Exactly.
50%. Yeah. What?
And it's just crazy because that's also very difficult to maintain a business on that split. That the overheads of a business are really high. And if you look at other businesses in the UK, how many actually work on that kind of model? It's just like the industry grew up with it, and it's just kind of almost been the norm. And I think, it's starting to change now, but... I
think when you didn't have all the extra costs, when you just were paying for your yellow pages and that was it, it was good. Oh, just on a side note, Celia, Cyril Irvine, he's you know him.
Yes, I know him, yeah. He's in
I used to play rugby with him. It was a couple of weeks ago when I was up at the rugby up in with Clara Valley. I posted a picture of being at the rugby, and Cyril came on, and it was like, "Oh right, Celia." So I played rugby with Sarah when I was about 16 or 17.
Oh wow, there you go.
He works in Manchester. He does a lot of corporate stuff.
Yeah, Cheadle Village.
And he does a lot of corporate stuff with the television companies, does he?
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah.
So
have a look at his website. Yeah.
He's been for like 30 years, so that was quite it's quite funny. And 50%. I mean, nuts, completely nuts. I wanted to keep your cost. You want to keep your staff cost down to about below 30%. Is what the because of all the other costs are just huge. Paul Wright was my mentor, and Paul was always about you want to keep your overheads, your rent and your rates and all those costs as low as you can, and then the next big thing is your staff costs. Because one of my clinics, it was €3,000 to open the door on a Monday morning. It's you want 50%, so that means you've got to earn 6,000 before I could even just start making a penny. Yeah, right. That's a lot of dough. In some practices. Yeah, but when you have
we'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about that in next week's chapter, the profit pillar.
Profit pillar, yeah.
Well, that's convenient, isn't it?
Isn't it just?
Who knew that? Who knew that was coming? Well,
so and the Sarah. Yeah, the profit, sanity, whatever thingamajigger, reality.
Don't get ahead of yourself, Justin. Calm yourself down. Keep back on this week.
Patience. Yeah, I mean the costs are large. That's why I prefer musculoskeletal practices, very cost efficient, rather than normal podiatry with sterilizing and all the other health and safety things that goes along. Musculoskeletal for physio, for chiro, for osteopath, musculoskeletal podiatrist, plinth, computer, whatever. Maybe you might take a little bit of video or watch them walk on gait, hands and credit card machine. Very easy to set up, very low overheads, and that's quite a good model to go. With podiatrists, you just can't lump up with all your stuff. Like the dentist isn't going to bring his whole clinic to somewhere. It's it's quite expensive to set up, but MSK is quite cheap, relatively cheap to set up.
Well, I suppose it depends on the type of practice you want, whether it's cheap or not.
Well, no, cheap in terms of entry cost rather than, to set up a practice, set up a podiatry practice, or if you're setting up a surgical practice in the States like colleagues are, and you want ultrasound machines and PRP and all the other sort of services, it's a huge setup cost. If you're just doing purely musculoskeletal, you may have some, say, scanning equipment or some isokinetic testing or something, but the entry cost is quite low for musculoskeletal on the whole. You can get quite fancy if you want. As we go on.
Anyway, Justin, as we said, profit next week. You've got to look after your people. You've got to look after your people this week, and you'll make a profit next week.
People before profit is one of the political parties here.
Justin, it's important to make sure that you don't run before you can walk, which I think in your case at the moment is quite apt.
I'm walking easier. I was walking yesterday without a limp. It's still a bit sore when I sit down. It's a bit tight. The swelling's gone down as well. That's always good. So as soon as the ultrasound scanner comes, we can all have a look and see how it is. See how much has changed from last week.
Every single day we can all have a look.
Yeah, every day.
This will be about so exciting.
After you've had your tea.
So I think the time has come where we have to shut Justin up and get Kate to wrap up.
But she wasn't here for
she wasn't here, and she's been very quiet.
Kate's got this. Kate doesn't need much information. She just needs to listen for about 2 seconds worth of stuff, and she'll just give you something perfectly formed as a takeaway.
People matter, and I think the with regards to all HR and employment models, they are vehicles to help you manage people, support people, and also to keep the business safe as well. But rather than being dictated to by what the vehicle is, design what is right and then find the right vehicle to make that possible and make that happen. But remember that the HR law is also there to keep the business safe. Same way as health and safety is. Health and safety is there to keep the business safe. The people matter, look after them, but at the same point you're looking after people, you're looking after your business.
Yeah. Okay. Some of the rules and regulations are quite strange, but anyway.
Yeah, they are, but you just got to suck it up. Some of you got to suck it up.
Yeah.
And you've got to see that it's there to protect you too, as the owner.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
That was my experience. But anyway.
Maybe that's been your attitude, Justin. Yeah, there is the Irish sea between us.
Dave. Right, on that note, look out for ultrasound on my leg.
I went sailing at the weekend, Justin. I went sailing at the weekend. I was looking forward to telling you.
How was that? Where'd you go?
I really enjoyed myself. Yes, thank you.
Where did you go? Where did you go, and what did you go on?
Oh, don't know about Scotland.
Well, she went to Logs. She went to Logs, but she just doesn't know what boat she went on.
I don't know. It's big enough. I haven't got a clue. I'll find out. I will find out.
Did you just was it just like sit there, Kate, and don't get in the way, or was it like pull this?
People matter. I had a lovely, lovely time. I don't care what the boat was. I had a lovely time. Thank you very much for asking, Justin.
I'm saying, did you participate? Was it sit there, or were you pull it?
I participated. I did what I was told.
I'd love to get out on a boat. Unfortunately, I can't for a couple of weeks. But and the boat's looking really well. I think I might go to another coat of varnish today because I'm so bored. Jesus, this is not good. Anyway, such a great day. Hold on, I'll show you my sunrise. We had peaker clouds earlier on. It's quite nice. Can you see
Dave's view, that's looking wonderful. A good walk up there looks absolutely stunning, Dave.
Absolutely.
Right.
Mist is starting to burn off.
Stunning. Stunning, Dave. Stunning.
I caught some video with the drone earlier on, so that was quite nice. I've had the drone out here, which is nice.
Very good.
Right, that's us.
Toys.
Right, so
Right, so to get some breakfast.
Better get the scoop.
Coffee next week. Awesome.
And I will be coming to you from Cheadle next week in Cheshire.
Oh, nice.
I'll be in a hotel next week, so.
You having some holiday?
No, I'm going up to see a client.
Oh.
Which was exciting. It's so nice getting back to face-to-face stuff.
Good, but anyway, it's
cool.
More restrictions. Okay, everybody, see you later. We'll talk to you later.
See you later.
See you later.
Scanning my cat.
Bye.
Cheerio.
Bye.